Hello, everybody. Welcome to English 3304. My name is Dr. Thomas Pickering. You can call me Thomas. This video is just going to be me going over the syllabus and the way this class works. And I will be putting all of it in writing in various places, but I would recommend watching this video in full. All right, so maybe just a little bit about me. I got my PhD at University of Massachusetts. I worked at MIT. I have I teach writing, but I teach writing in various fields, engineering, mathematics, um, medical writing, professional technical writing, a lot of different fields I've taught writing in. And I was hired at OSU last year, so this is my second year. And at OSU, I work in the English department, and I primarily teach this class and a couple others. So, my background is in knowing what writing looks like in a lot of different contexts and how to write well and clearly in readable ways. And that's mostly what this class is going to be teaching. So, let's go ahead and get into it. I'm going to share my screen and I will just say that in general, I've learned that it's an online class. And students don't often really like or watch all of the videos if I make video lectures, so I tend to be pretty sparing. There'll be a video lecture for the syllabus, of course, and for every major assignment, and then occasionally I may offer a supplemental one, but most of the class will be textual. And so here's the information. This is my email. Please just email me. Don't use Canvas messaging. It's really buggy and it like sends notification flags that are hard to get rid of. So just go ahead and email me if you have any questions. If I have my Zoom link, which will be anytime in this class that we have a Zoom meeting for whatever reason, this is where that link will be. It's a static link. I have office hours at this link on Zoom, Mondays 9 to 10 and by appointment. And so, what is this class? Business and Professional Writing. Well, we're going to basically be pursuing answers to these questions. What does it mean to write and sound like a professional? What types of writing do people do after they graduate? And how is it different than school writing? Whatever we might think of that. This class is about that, and it's very practical. It's an applied class. You're going to produce a variety of genres, including uh, you'll see resumes and cover letters. You will make memos, reports, and feasibility studies. And you will make visuals are going to be a major component of the class as it goes on, including graphs and other types of visuals. And you will learn how to write effectively with quantitative information generally. You'll learn what it means to write not as a student or a person, but for an organization and how that changes how you uh, structure sentences and the types of claims you can or can't make. It becomes a little bit different. And you will also learn how to write with others. So how to have a collaborative workflow, how to have a division of writing labor that is effective and fair, and how to work with people who have different expertise and perspective. So, this is, I'll be honest, is this if I were taking this class as an undergrad, I might think of it's not necessarily a fun class, but it is very practical. You will certainly learn very practical things that I think you will use either by producing them or by reading other people's work and knowing what's good and bad. So uh, I think maybe just it can be a fun class if you set it up to have a fun project, is what I'll say. But other than that, maybe just prepare yourself for a class that is a little more nuts and bolts and a little more foundational. Okay, so what are the learning outcomes? Well, they're similar to what I've just sort of described, but you will produce a lot of standard workplace documents. So if you ever get a job after this class and your boss asks you, hey, write me a report, write me a memo. Instead of being like a sort of a deer in the headlights and freezing, you'll know roughly what those genres are and you'll be able to write them. Maybe what they ask for is going to like be formatted a little differently or whatever, but you'll have some familiarity and you won't be surprised. You also will have some appreciation for some professional rhetorical situations and how to respond to them. You will apply best practices for clarity and storytelling, for written and visual communication. So all those words are important. You will learn how to write clearly, how to emphasize the story or the main point of any complex document, and how to make documents that are very readable. You will produce clear and compelling visualizations. A lot of professional communication is really much better when it's visualized, as we will see. You will have well-formatted, readable documents, not, like a college essay, double-spaced, all that nonsense. None of that. That's all dead once you graduate. You'll learn how to collaborate with others, and we will have a week where we touch on the role of AI, and we'll do some fun things with that. All right. There is no required textbook. I will provide all the readings for free. So, how does this class work? Some of you may have not taken an online class, some of you have taken others. This is an asynchronous online class, so there's no regularly scheduled meeting times. There's no showing up to class. There's no Zoom meetings at a specific time. Everything is done asynchronously on your own time, but there is structure. So, the way I have structured this is there will be weekly quote unquote discussion posts. They're not really, there's not really any discussion usually happening, except for maybe one week. But that's what Carmen calls it, so that's what I have to call it. So how every week, the Friday before, I will release the content for that next week, and it will include written lecture material that I have written. It will include readings that I think are useful, and it will include a prompt that asks you to produce something. And that thing that you produce will be due the Thursday at 11:59. All deadlines are 11:59. Some weeks you will be writing your responses or your discussion posts individually, and other weeks you'll do it together. So there will be collaborative work. I'll talk about that later. And it's a weekly basis. A little bit about these posts. I really hate busy work. I don't like to grade it. I hated it as a student. And I have really tried to structure this class so that there isn't anything that I would consider to be busy work. Um, all of the discussion posts are constructed to teach and have you test a very specific skill. Often those skills are built naturally into the bigger writing assignments. Sometimes they aren't, but the goal is uh, to learn how to do a specific thing. That's what these posts are. And it's also for me to sort of get a chance to hear how you're responding to the material that I write and to keep your team on track. So you are expected to keep pace with all of the weekly deadlines, but otherwise you can structure your time freely. You can do the work in this class, at 2 a.m. You can do it in the morning. You can, whatever you want, as long as you hit the deadlines. So here is the major grade scale. So you can see that discussion posts are a huge part of the class, 30% of the grade. Uh, there are there are basically three major assignments. There's a project proposal, there's a survey report broken down into draft and final, and then there's a feasibility study. So let's talk through those assignments. Um, First, I will say that all three major assignments are team-based. Now, let me talk you through why and what that means. So, unlike in a lot of academic or school assignments, once you get out into the, quote unquote real world, as though the, university wasn't the real world, but once you graduate, most written documents, professionally written documents, are written collaboratively. You will have a team of writers, you will have engineers, you'll have graphic designers who help produce things. There will be lawyers, managers will be involved, and so it's a complex workflow. Very rarely will you produce things for an organization that are not seen and reviewed by other people. Uh, and so part of what this class attempts to do is to help equip students with the skills necessary to learn how to do this well because in school you are not usually asked to do collaborative writing assignments. At least I wasn't. Maybe you have been, but so that's the reasoning. Now I have really carefully structured this to um, class. I've structured this class to do a few things to make this collaboration easier because I think it's an asynchronous writing class and people may associate online classes with kind of individual work. So first, I think I'm pretty good at making teams. So you'll have a good team, and those of you who don't have a good team, um, I think let me rephrase that. You'll have a team that is matching your approach to work and skill set. That's how I'll say it. Whether it's good is up to you. And so your teams, I think, will be well structured. If there are problems with the collaborative experience, I will handle them on an individual basis. Um, I have also structured these assignments so that the first one, I wouldn't worry about the collaborative part. It won't be a big deal. But the second one, I have broken down the division of labor so that everybody has their clear lane and they know what they have to produce and it's roughly equal. And for the third assignment, a major part of the grade, well, I mean, a significant part of the grade is making sure that I will ask you to create a division of labor that is equitable and fair. And if you mess that up and you do a bad job, then your grade will be lowered. And so you'll learn how to do it before, hopefully, before you try and you'll have a draft. But um, I think you will. I think even though, yes, you will be writing and working with other people in this class asynchronously, and maybe even meeting with them, hopefully, uh, either on Zoom or in person, that it will be structured well and you will not feel that it is unfair to you. I'm also, I'm not going to get into the specifics of it, but I'm very capable and will be grading in what I would consider a fair way, taking into account individual contributions and sort of collective team effort. We'll talk about all that later. I wouldn't worry too much about it. But just so you know, I mean, if that really scares you, basically every section of English 3304 is collaborative, so you're not going to escape it. If you think I'll find another section, I would caution you against that for various reasons. All right. So anyway, what are these assignments? So there's a project proposal. You're going to pitch a project. We'll talk about what a good project is when we get closer in more detail. But basically, we have to write about something, and it has to be professional communication. So I'm asking folks to pick an organization to quote unquote partner with, usually a nonprofit organization, not necessarily though, and then to choose a community project for that organization. And then you will conduct an analysis to determine what research you need to complete that project successfully. You're just kind of pitching ideas in this. And this is a very easy, relatively easy assignment, this first one. And you're encouraged to choose organizations and projects that are actually interesting and that address real community needs in the world. So some examples, last semester I had a team that wanted to redo a park in Columbus. I forget, it's like Snowfers Park or something like that up north. They wanted to redesign the park. They thought they could use some improvements. So they pitched a project that would redesign it and take community feedback. Another team was a team of sort of pre-med people or neuroscience people, and they wanted to work with disposal of medical gloves in hospitals and medical facilities. They found that to be wasteful and inefficient and maybe not so good for the environment. So they pitched some ideas, like sort of a research project for improving that. And one team I remember wanted to improve the pedestrian experience on High Street, which is not very good. And they had some ideas for that. So this is the kind of project. It's like a community project or a project in your chosen profession. It's a sort of something that there's work that could be done, either research work or something. And this is a chance to kind of get involved with it and get to know it. Of course, we won't actually be redesigning High Street physically, but this is a class where we'll be writing documents that would be involved with the process of doing that. So second, you'll do a survey report. This is the really first major assignment. It's a hard assignment, I will warn you. It is you will conduct original survey research. I will teach you how to do that. It's not that hard, but there is skill involved. And you will get data from that survey, and you will summarize and analyze that data in a written report, and you will visualize that data and gather some recommendations. It's a fun assignment if you have a good survey, is what I'll say. If you know how to if you like visualizing and writing about data, this assignment is also for those of you who are from STEM, um, pretty close to STEM writing. It's not exactly STEM writing, but if you have familiarity with that type of writing, you will feel comfortable here. And if you don't, I will teach you all the nuts and bolts. And then sort of the capstone project is a feasibility study. This is the new assignment of the class that I'm playing with. It is a research-driven study that determines if a project is feasible or affordable, practical, likely to work. They're all synonyms. So you'll conduct research into financial costs, market research, organizational and logistical needs, legal requirements, technical considerations, anything. These are all broad categories because it will really depend on your project. But you will be doing some significant research for this one, and you will be producing it. Basically, what happens is when a company or an organization in the real world is thinking about doing a project but sort of is not sure about the scale or the cost, they will conduct what is called a feasibility study. And they'll either do it internally or they will hire a consultant to sort of figure out what would be involved with this, how much would it cost, what's a reasonable time frame, who do we have to work with, and what are some of the challenges. And this is us learning how to do that. Excuse me a second. All right. Um, so those are the major assignments. There will be drafts for the survey report and the feasibility study. I expect this is sort of boilerplate, but I do expect all written assignments, including discussion posts, to be your own original work. You can honestly, it says follow APA style. I don't mind if you for any situation where citation is useful or necessary, if you use other citation styles, as long as you're consistent. And you can have other people proofread, you can bounce ideas off people, but you are supposed to write them yourself. Okay, so yes, a note about late assignments. So things are due at 11:59 p.m. on the day listed. You can use a one-time extension to receive 3 days extra on an assignment. So one of these three things. You can do it anytime. All you have to do is email me. You don't have to give any excuses. In fact, it's better if you don't. Just tell me you're taking the extra 3 days, and that's fine. Any assignment that is late without an extension will be given a grade penalty, and will take longer to feedback on. I usually feedback things within 7 to 14 days. They're major assignments, I will say. I feedback them 7 to 14 days or 1 or 2 weeks. But I don't know what it is about me, but I'm really bad at, not bad, but I'm inconsistent about how long it takes me to feedback late assignments because it just kind of throws me off my rhythm. So it could be quick, it could take a long time. So I would say that's one of the penalties for being late is you may have an unknown feedback time. So this is a sticking point. Late discussion posts will not be graded. So I'll talk about discussion posts later, but um, this is just something to know. Some of you will run up against this rule at some point in the semester. There's built-in leeway so that you're not like you forget 1 week or you're like a day late and you're not like your grade's not tanked. You'll be okay. But I cannot keep up with what the weekly posts are, and I can't be going back to previous weeks. A lot of these discussion posts as we get into the semester are meant to be scaffolded or like timed and sequenced in a specific way so that you're sort of building. And if you're doing old work, um, when we moved on, it wouldn't make sense. So there's just I won't be doing late discussion posts. All right, so other points. Sorry, it's going to be the longest video of the class just because it's syllabus week. All announcements will be through Canvas, through the announcements feature. So you really need to make sure that you by default, you should be getting them through your email, but you need to make sure that you are receiving these. Um, my goodness, it's like the end of summer, and I have not talked this much in a while. All right, so Gen AI, let's talk about that. This is a course about communication practices in professional environments. Since a lot of professional environments use Gen AI as one of the tools for producing things, we will set aside some time in the class to, I say here, practice, maybe. We will definitely address and have some fun with some of these tools. However, you need to be able to graduate and communicate intelligently and professionally without help from a model. Or you should feel like you need to. And so for this class, I'm asking people to refrain from models unless like specifically instructed to. And students who do not follow this usage policy may receive significant grade penalties at my complete and total discretion. And I will say that means that includes discussion posts, that includes major assignments, and I mean, one of the things we'll do in our Gen AI week is we'll learn how to identify Gen AI work or writing produced by a model. It's honestly it's pretty easy. So, and I've proven it to be easy. I used to think it was like, I don't know if I could do it, but as time goes on, it's pretty easy. So, if I notice that you are using it, I don't know, I may give you a warning, I may not, but you're playing with fire. It's a pretty typical OSU grade scale as far as I think. I don't think I edited this. You can kind of look at the calendar on your own time. Some weeks are easier, some weeks are harder. I can say anecdotally, the first through 3 weeks are relatively easy. Once we get into week 4 through 6, um, those weeks will some of you may feel challenged then, and so on. We'll sort of I'll try to communicate when I think a week will be easier or difficult. I think sometimes it helps people structure things in their head. And the rest of the syllabus you can kind of look on your own. It's sort of the boilerplate OSU syllabus that they ask me to put into uh, every class. I'll just say if you have a disability accommodation, please work with the disability office and have them send me information. I'm happy to do that. Um, and I'll let you read the rest on your own. Okay, so that's that. And so look at my checklist. Let's look at the main feature of the class. So I actually haven't populated the Carmen yet with all of my content. So it's pretty empty right now. I mean, you can't even see this. I'm just going to go ahead and go to last semester's class. And so you can just kind of get a sense of what it looks like. But there'll be a syllabus link. I'll probably have a course YouTube just so I can host these videos. Um, and then there'll be sort of, if you've never taken an online class, these are called modules, these little chunks organized by weeks in this class. And the first week, you will have it's kind of a get to know you week. I will provide it's about emails, job materials, and introductions. And in the past, I have explicitly asked people to produce a cover letter and resume, and usually about 1/5 of the class, found that to be the most important thing they've ever done in any writing class. And then the 4/5 of the class found it to be, anywhere between mildly helpful to okay, like maybe just, irrelevant. So I don't ask you to produce those materials anymore, but I will say that 1/5 of you for sure need this material. And some of you may not know that you are in that 1/5. So I provided some samples, some for cover letters and resumes. I'll have like a very brief write-up or lecture of showing you some and showing you how I talk through them. But if you think you might need more help, I'm going to hold additional office hours the first week. These are all optional, and you can uh, you can just kind of come through and show me what you have, and I can talk you through how to write a better one. And this will be the only part of the class where you ever touch those documents. So unless you make an appointment. So what else can I show you? So yeah, it'll be all here in the modules. There'll be announcements. There'll be major assignments here with rubrics, and there will be a tab called discussions. So let's talk about discussions. Excuse me, I'm drinking water. As I said, every Friday I will release the following week's content, and the discussion post will be due Thursday. And usually I have structured this so that you sort of click it and it connects, it links to all of the relevant material. And there will usually be an extra credit challenge for each week. Sometimes it will be genuinely challenging, and sometimes it will be well, I mean, challenging for who, but it may be easy, it may be hard, you may get it some weeks, you may not. What I'll say is that uh, there are going to be maybe 13 or 14 discussion posts total, and I will allow each person to drop one discussion post from their overall discussion post grade, so that's sort of 30%. So if you miss a week, I will not accept a late discussion post, but I will, you know that you always will drop the worst one that you have, and that will happen sort of automatically behind the scenes. I don't know how to do that yet on Carmen, so I don't know when I'll figure that out, but it will happen by the end of the semester, and you can just know that. And again, there'll be extra credit, so you'll be able to, if you do a bad job one week, you can make it up the next week. They're also, honestly, I'll be quite clear. They're degraded pretty generously. My approach to grading in this class is the discussion posts are going to be more or less by completion. You will get either a 90, a 95, or a 100. And why do I do that? Well, because I want them to be low stakes. I want you to be able to do something, try it, and mess up, and then get feedback from me saying, here's what you should do. Um, and I'm going to write this all up, but the idea behind the 90, 95, 100 is that if this may be a little confusing, but if I give you a 100 on your discussion posts, I'm telling you you're good to go. This is A work. If I give you a 95, I'm telling you this is B work. And I'll tell you what you need to do to fix it. If I give you a 90, I'm telling you you're going to get a C if you continue making the certain mistakes that you've made. Almost always, what happens when somebody is making mistakes that are, in my opinion, C-level work is that they are just opening up Carmen that week, going straight to the discussion posts, reading the prompts, ignoring all of my content that tells you how to do it well, and then just messing it up. That's guarantee most of the time what happens. Um, so my recommended workflow for this class is every week you read the announcement, or there'll be a brief announcement, and then there will be what's called a week overview. So for example, on week 7, how does it week 6 last semester, I write, this is basically like an overview where I have all my announcements for the week, and I have links to all of the relevant lectures or readings, and I say read these before you do the discussion posts, and I would recommend you do read them, and then do the discussion posts using the knowledge from the readings or the lecture. Okay, that is my recommended workflow, and So, and that's how also how I will grade your discussion posts. Okay. And then other thing I'll say about grading. Sorry, it's getting a little disorganized, but the discussion posts are graded generously. The project proposal is graded pretty generously. The survey report and the feasibility study are not graded generously. By the time you get to these documents, you will have practiced all of the skills you need in the discussion posts. And if you haven't got it by then and you haven't improved, I will I will get you for that. So think of these as like especially the final version as like a test. Like you need to know your stuff by the time you turn that document in. It has to look good. It has to follow the best practices that we've been talking about in lecture. And the discussion posts are like where you practice. Okay, so that's it, I think, for the class. Um, and I have not populated week one yet, but I can tell you again, it is about uh, job materials and emails. And I will release the content for that week. Oh, I think the first day of class is a Tuesday, and I will release the content probably the day before. So, and which is unusual because usually we release content on Friday, but it's the first week. So, um, and there will be an extra credit opportunity that is time sensitive. So if you want to be on your toes and get it, then I would just say be ready to look for that content. All right, let me know if you have any questions. And as always, please feel free to reach out and talk to me. And I will see you throughout the class.